Hi guys, today we are talking about witch runes. This is the third video I filmed today because it's the only day I have to film. And yeah, we've moved to the floor now. The floor is just the most comfortable. I don't know about you guys, I spend a lot of time on this floor, mostly because it's the only carpeted room in the house, but like there's just something comforting and grounding about being on the ground, on the floor. It's just really nice. Anyways, we're gonna talk about witch runes today. So witch runes are different than the Elder Futhark runes. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the history background, but to be honest, there isn't a lot. Witch runes are very new compared to the Elder Futhark, which has a very rich history. Before I get into it, I just want to shout out the creator of the rune stones I have. They are absolutely gorgeous, and you guys will see in this video.
So when I went to grab the link, I realized that since I have bought the runes, they actually changed their Etsy name. So it's now Dream Fulfilled. That is their new name, and they do sell a variety of other things. They have very beautiful work and honestly such a wide variety of very unique items that you don't usually see anywhere. So definitely go check them out.
Absolutely gorgeous. I'll link them below, their shop below, so you guys can check them out. But these rune stones are so pretty. I love them so much, and I'm so happy to have them in my collection. I don't get any money from them. I bought these with my own money. I just am absolutely in love with them. They're so pretty. So I just wanted to talk about witch runes today because I do really like witch runes, and they are a nice runes alternative for those who just don't have the time and the energy to learn the Elder Futhark. And I have done a little bit of learning here and there. I do have some Elder Futhark rune stones that I have worked with, but very minimally because there's a lot of memorization involved in those rune stones. Witch runes I find are a lot easier to understand, a lot easier to learn, and there's only 13 of them. So it's not as difficult if you want to learn some rune stones, but Elder Futhark is too intimidating for you. Witch runes might be a nice alternative for you. Witch runes are fairly new compared to the ancient Norse runic alphabet. And if you look up witch runes, if you research on the internet, honestly, it is very hard to find the exact origin, the exact date to when they were created. But most sources agree that they were originally created as a magical alphabet for witches, specifically for divination purposes around the 19th or early 20th century. So they are fairly new compared to the Elder Futhark. And why 13 runes? So 13, even though a lot of people believe 13 to be an unlucky number and they're scared of 13, you know, Friday the 13th, or they won't have a 13th floor labeled in elevators of hotels and stuff. However, 13th historically is actually seen as a very sacred and positive number, which is interesting. So there's 13 lunar phases of the year. There's also often 13 witches to a coven. So 13 is very sacred for witches, but not just witches. It was also considered sacred to the Aztecs. 13 is also the number of Jesus plus all of the apostles. 13 is also considered in astrology to be associated with the divine, and it's said to bring good luck and prosperity and new beginnings. So yeah, that might be why there's 13 witch rune stones, because 13 does carry some sacred symbolism to it. We're gonna get into the meanings of the different symbols. We're gonna start with the sun. Now you'll see there's a lot of similarities for sure in the symbolism for some of these in comparison to the tarot. So if you already read the tarot, you might find this is actually pretty simple to pick up on because there's a lot of consistency there. Now something to note though is that the meanings of these symbols and the way they're drawn is going to vary slightly from person to person. I have seen a couple of varying versions of some symbols. So I have, before I got this rune set, this was the first witch rune set I got from a spirit fair. These ones are a lot more simple. They're literally just clay with some marker written on them, so they're not as fancy as the other ones. They're pretty though. These ones have a slightly different symbol for harvest, which I'll show you guys because you might come across both variations. And some of the meanings are slightly different too. It came with a booklet, and this is the one that you'll probably see online the most. But the ones that came in this, from this creator, they had their own little it's not, I was gonna say booklet, but it's just literally folded piece of paper. They had this in there that has the symbols, has the instructions on how to read the rune stones. Now this one, there are some differences between the meanings of this and this. Overall, they're mostly the same. So we're gonna start with the sun. Here's the sun rune in this set. They're very pretty, they're very smooth too. Very nice quality. So the sun is all about growth, progress, new beginnings, success, prosperity, and also associated with solar magic. And we're gonna talk a little bit after the symbols about how to use the runes, the different ways you can use them in your practice. But yeah, the sun is very much like the sun card in the tarot. So just think of it like that. Yeah, the sun's pretty standard symbol. It looks basically the same across different sets. Here's my other rune stone. It's gonna look basically the same. And then we have the moon. You know, where you have the sun, you always have the polarity of the moon. So the moon looks like this. It's very pretty. And the moon is all about the divine feminine. It's about intuition, magic, dreams, psychic abilities, emotions, healing, the shadow, you know, shadow work, change, you know, the change of the moon phases. And it's a pretty standard across the globe symbol. Most rune stones will use the same sort of symbol for the moon. And you could see it as like the sun is the masculine energy, while the moon is the feminine, right? So there's a lot of different symbolism you can gain from that as well. So flight is the next one, and these look slightly different between my different sets. So I'll show you the variances. So this is what they did in this set. Now usually you'll see a very simple image for the birds. They did a lot more detail from this one. They're super beautiful. They look like doves. But like usually you'll just see the little, you know, it looks like an M. So this one you can see is a lot more quickly drawn. Nothing too fancy, but this is kind of the symbol you'll probably see most online if you're looking up witch runes. So flight is all about higher knowledge. It's about unexpected news coming your way. It's about changes and communication and messages and things that are fast moving. So these are the kind of things. You can also think of it as like when things take flight, it's like they're taking off, they're changing quickly, they're moving fast. So that's just like a way to think about it. So the next rune is the rings, and this is another one that slightly varies. Like my original ones look like this. And usually this is the kind of symbol that you'll see for the rings. But the ones on this one are 2 rings, and they're a little bit more detailed. They're so beautiful though. So the rings are all about bonding and binding. It's about alliance or marriage or strengthening the bond of a relationship. It could literally mean a proposal or something like really literal like that, or it could mean something more symbolic. So it really depends on how you interpret it, you know, what other runes are around it, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's definitely about the bonds of a relationship. And it could even mean more symbolic sense in like a partnership or the binding relationship of a contract or a new job or something like that. So there's so many different ways you can interpret it. Next is the Trinity. So the Trinity symbol, which we literally just kind of talked about the symbol in my correspondence video that just went out a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, so we have the Trinity symbol. This one kind of looks like a lotus. I'm not gonna lie, the drawing on this is not the best quality, but this is the original one I have. It looks like they literally just drew it with a silver Sharpie. So it's not the fanciest, it's very simple. It shows that you can literally make your own. But this is the one that was very well created. So there's the Trinity symbol. This is all about love and romance. It's about eroticism, relationships. Some people associate it with the triple goddess as well, or life, death, rebirth, anything that kind of comes in threes. It really depends on how you interpret it. Everyone's gonna interpret these things a little bit differently. Then we actually have female and male runes. So the feminine or female rune looks like this. It's almost like a little Y. So that's the feminine symbol. Now it's gonna look slightly different depending on the rune set. So that's that set. This one legit just looks like a Y. So anything that's kind of that shape, that's your female or your feminine rune, woman rune. So obviously represents feminine energy, the divine feminine. It represents creativity, calm, positive events, receptive energy. And then we have the male or masculine rune, or the man rune, and it looks like an arrow. So there's that one. And then we also have this set. So yeah, it just always basically looks like an arrow. So this one obviously is going to be about the masculine energy, divine masculine. It's about strength, action, justice, goals, going for your goals, very active energy. And then we have harvest. So harvest is really cool in this set because it's very different. I will show you the traditional harvest symbol though, because that's what you'll find mostly online is this symbol, and it's kind of more complex, honestly. But like even in like the picture that you see online, it looks like that, right? That is your traditional witch rune symbol for harvest. This set takes a different route and I really like it. They basically just drew some wheat. And maybe the other one is supposed to be representative of wheat actually, but just a little bit more symbolic. And this one is more of a literal drawing of wheat. It's just easier to distinguish. It's really pretty. Honestly, I like this one a lot. So harvest is going to represent good luck, success, prosperity, and abundance, just what you think it means, right? Like when you're harvesting, you're reaping the benefits, the prosperity of your labor, the things that you've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and work into, right? You're reaping your harvest. So it makes sense. So it's about manifesting. It's about health and wealth and security and money and all those things. All right, and then we have crossroads. So crossroads is gonna look a little bit different depending on, again, the set. This is your traditional symbol for crossroads in the witch runes. So it's like an arrow's going this way, arrow's going that way. Looks a little bit different in this one. Kind of gives me some Two of Swords vibes from the tarot, to be completely honest, which kind of makes sense with the meanings. But that's what we have for crossroads. So crossroads is all about decisions. It's about blocked paths, obstacles, change, and also endings. Honestly, kind of makes a lot of sense with the meaning of what the Two of Swords is. It looks very much like the Two of Swords. And then we have waves. So waves in the traditional symbol is gonna look something like this. So that's it drawn. I will show you what it looks like on the piece of paper that you'll probably come across the internet with. So there's the waves. They take a little bit of a simpler and more literal approach to drawing it on this set, and it literally looks like the waves of water. Like it looks like straight out of a lake or an ocean. Waves. It's all about purity and purification, emotion, healing. It could also indicate movement and travel. You travel by water. Water is forever moving and flowing. So it can mean so many different things. So we have a few more. So we have the star, and it's going to be very similar to the meaning of the star in the tarot, and very universal symbol. Like it looks very similar to this one right here. So the star is all about guidance. It's about, wishes and dreams coming true. It's about, following your intuition and your passion. It's about luck and freedom and gifts. And just like that light at the end of the tunnel, that light in the darkness, that hope essentially is the star. So basically the star card. So if you have your tarot memorized and you're really good with symbolism, guys, you're gonna pick up on the witch runes really quickly, which is really nice. Then we have the scythe. So the scythe traditionally looks like this. It's kind of like that little hook symbol. Looks the same on the index that we find online right here. They made it a little bit different on this set once again. I like their unique kind of twist to it though. I really, really like it. I think it's well executed for sure. So there's the scythe. Now the scythe is going to be about breaking curses and bad luck. It could also represent difficulty and endings. It could be about releasing and cleansing. It's also kind of like the death card in tarot, honestly. So if you understand the themes of the death card, then you'll understand the themes of the scythe. And finally, this is the last one, and then we're gonna go into how to use your witch runes. So the last one is the eye, and it's very standard, very simple. I love this one. The detail of this one is just like amazing. Like the artist, there's two artists actually. They're actually a couple, but they're just so talented. So the eye is going to be all about seeing the truth. It's going to be about like your intuition, your third eye, psychic abilities, perspective, you know, inner power, waiting for the unexpected. I also remember in this interpretation for the runes, they mentioned that when reading the runes, if you see the eye like facing like another rune, like beside another rune, just like pay closer attention to it. Pay attention because it's like the eye is looking at that rune. All right, so how do you use your witch runes? So witch runes are not only used for divination, but you can actually use them in your witchcraft practice too. So there's different ways to do it. Now, when you throw your runes to read them, it's called casting the runes. And you can do it basically just by holding them all in your hand. The nice thing with these runes is it's easier to cast them than like the Elder Futhark, because the Elder Futhark has a lot more. This one only has 13 runes, so it's easier to hold them all in your hand and then cast them on the ground. And then you would read the ones that are facing upwards, the ones that you can see. Another thing you could do is do a pull, like a card pull, where you have them in your bag and you just pull one or pull three. Now, when reading the runes that you cast, it's gonna take some time to really understand, get in the groove of it, really tap into your intuition. So when casting runes, it's important to consider different things. It's important to consider the runes that are around it. It's important to consider the positioning of the runes could tell a story. And it's important to just trust your intuition, trust what's coming through, and just practice, work that muscle really. But also you may have things come through that aren't necessarily in the booklet or online or something like that. Just trust it. Like your own intuitive messages can also be very valuable and very important. So just go with the flow, play with it a little bit and see what you get. Now, in terms of witchcraft, you can actually use these runes for symbolism in your practice. So for example, the harvest rune you might use for your manifesting. Maybe you draw the symbol, maybe not necessarily this one, but like the OG, like original witch rune symbol. Maybe you draw that in, you know, a spell jar that you do for manifesting something. Maybe you use like the women rune and or the Trinity rune to connect to a goddess, to connect to the divine feminine, or connect to your own divine feminine energy in some work. Maybe you use the eye as almost like an evil eye to ward off evil. There's so many different ways to get creative with your rune set. There's so many different ways that you can utilize it in your witchcraft practice. So yeah, I just encourage you to play with it and just see what ideas kind of come up and what things you can do with it, because everyone's practice is gonna be different, and maybe you think of something super unique and different that no one else has really tried before, and that's really cool too, and there's nothing wrong with that. And while there is tradition in witchcraft and things that we can kind of pass on through generations and to like we can learn from each other, there's something special about also taking a practice and then making it your own, and you know, just creating new traditions, creating new practices. There's nothing wrong with that. That's actually very special. So anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this little, you know, witch runes 101 video just to kind of introduce you to the practice of witch runes. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you have not already. It super duper helps my channel out. All the support is appreciated. Thank you so much for being here with me. I hope you guys have an amazing day or night whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.